Natural.
Welcome to the meeting. Well, first and foremost, from the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of my family's heart, I want to thank the Miami Dolphins organization. I also want to, because I am a true believer, I've prayed about this, I've prayed on it. I want to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, for allowing me this opportunity. I want to thank the Miami Dolphins organization. I want to thank the people that are in this room. I want to thank Mike McDaniel for believing in me, for entrusting this role in me as a leader of this team. I want to thank Chris Greer and Brandon Shore for the immense amount of pressure that they've had to go through and whatnot to get this deal done. I also want to thank Mr. Ross, for entrusting me this opportunity of leadership, for entrusting this role for me on this team, and trusting that, I'm the guy that's going to lead this team to what we want to do in winning playoff games and winning championships. I also want to thank our coaches, the coaches in our room. I want to thank, Darryl Bevel for helping me throughout this process. It hasn't been an easy process, but, we've had many conversations. We've done a lot of things that, have been good, a lot of things that we needed to work on together, and I'm very grateful for that relationship. I also want to thank Frank Smith, our OC, in collaboration with our head coach, Mike. And I want to thank my teammates, throughout this process. Those guys have been very, very supportive of me and my family throughout that. And, as a player, you couldn't ask for more, especially from your guys. So we're looking forward to this year. I'm super excited and ready for the first question.
Tua, I know this is special on many levels, but with your family here, could you just tell us what this means for you and your family, knowing that you guys are now financially secure?
It's life-changing. I know anyone in this room would say the same thing. Words couldn't describe to me how that feels. It's unbelievable, but it's still, I'm not like gonna go and just, hey, yeah, I got this much money now. Let me just let's go buy a private jet, Mike, and let's go fly to Vegas and just go use all that money. I grew up like each and every one of you in these seats, working as hard as I possibly can to be in the position that I wanted to be. I'm sure that's what you guys are doing, and that's how I grew up. I grew up in a middle-class family. My dad was the only one that worked, and my mom took care of the kids. And so my dad did whatever it took to, take care of our family. And I'm just very, very blessed and very fortunate that, I've been able to use football as my career path to help my family generationally with, the kind of money that I've been given.
Can you kind of take us through how this got past the finish line? We talked to you guys last month, and we got an update from you there. Then what's changed since then?
Well, I think it's been a hard process, like I said earlier with Brandon and Chris. I mean, those guys have worked tirelessly with my agent. And, I'm not going to go into any of the details, but I can tell you, it's done. I'm not looking back. We're looking forward, and we're looking forward to what we can do to help this team win more games and, win games when it matters.
So when your first start at the Rams game, I remember after the game, you were on the field at midfield in full jersey, and I don't know exactly what you were doing at that time, but in that moment, which I know was special for you, did you see yourself getting here at that time?
At that time, I wouldn't say that I saw myself being at this exact moment. In that exact time, I can remember my thoughts were more so being grateful that I was still able to play the game. I was offered the opportunity to get into the Jets game, it was the Jets game, I believe. And, just being able to play football when, there were so many unknowns throughout that offseason as I got drafted. Is he going to be able to play the same? Is he going to be able to run? Is he going to be able to move? There were a lot of doubts, and as I went in there, I was just grateful that I was able to play an NFL snap and it was more so for my confidence as well being in there, and I just soaked up that moment.
Tua, have you had a chance to speak with your mom and dad after signing?
Yes. So I talked to Mr. Ross. I talked to my wife, and after I talked to my wife, then I called my parents, then I called my brother. So I got to talk to all of them. I mean, it was cool. It was emotional for them, but it was really cool.
Seems fitting that all this would happen on the day when the fans come. They get to watch. You get to address them.
Mm-hmm.
What was that energy like for you, just to know that so many Tua fans there?
That's fun. That's fun. But this comes with the business, right? This comes with the position. Whether you're liked, whether you're not liked, you're always going to have people tell you you're the greatest thing, and you're always going to have people that are going to tell you you're the worst thing. But it's what you believe with, between your heart and between your head space. So that's what I'd say.
You've led the NFL in passing yards. You've led the NFL in passer rating. You started in the Pro Bowl. What's the next step for you personally and in your career?
Well, we haven't won the games that we wanted to win. Deep into the playoffs, get deep into the playoffs. Win the games that matter. That's what I would say. All of that is cool, but I could have been the worst, had the worst passer rating. I could have, threw for 1,000 yards. But if we were in those games and we were winning those big time games, and we got to go and win the championship, I mean, I'd trade all of that. I'd trade all of that for that.
When you reflect back on all those throws with your dad growing up to this moment, what goes through your mind?
Well, I'm actually very grateful for the setup that my dad had given me. There's been a number of times that, after school, I'd have to try to, do my homework as fast as I can, because once my father was home, it wasn't about school. Like, your mind better be ready to go and practice. And when you practice, you had to practice a certain way. And if it wasn't to, his standard, then it was like, okay, I know I'm going to have to do extra work, or if I didn't have to do extra work, we were going to have a talk. That's for sure. So, I just can remember after football games, if I didn't have a good game, my dad would send me to a throwing camp, and I'd go straight from my football game to a throwing camp in my pads. And I wouldn't be with the kids the same age as me. I'd be with the kids older than me. So, like, I was kind of nervous. Like, okay, like, I'm nervous to go with the older guys, because if I throw and I don't throw it right, the older guys are going to say something, and my mind is like, okay, I want to fit in with these older guys. But then at the same time, I'm like, I don't know if I want to go through all that stress. Maybe I should just stick with the younger guys. And so one thing I didn't want my dad to do was my dad to come down and force me to go and throw with those guys, or tell whatever coach it was there, like, no, my son's going to go throw with these older guys. And so I was just more afraid of the standard that was set for, me by my dad. But it's helped me become who I am today with how I see the game. And I'm grateful for that part that my dad has helped me with.
Mike shared with us that he gave you a big hug when he saw you after you signed. Can you talk a little bit about that, and also the reaction from your teammates when you physically saw them first? Besides text, I'm sure they were sending you congratulations too.
Yeah, so Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel, they're knocking on the quarterback's door, open the door, and I see Bev look, and I'm like, all right, everybody's too quiet. Like, let me take a look. And those guys are peeking in. They're peeking in through the door. And nobody says anything. They're just, like, nodding their head. Bless you, Bella. Everyone's nodding their head. And so I'm like, all right, is it time? So I walk up, and as I'm getting, to turn the corner, I'm like, wait, let me grab my pen. As a joke. I'm like, wait, let me grab my pen. Chris Greer sticks his hand out. I'm like, dude, we got it done? He's like, congratulations. So I shake Chris's hand, give him a hug, give Mike a big hug. Mike squeezes me super hard. And then as I'm getting ready to go back into the room, lo and behold, Brandon Shore's just coming down and walking down the alley. I'm like, all right, this is going to be like a 2-minute walk. So I'm like, all right, hold up, Brandon. Let me go throw something away. Come back out, give Brandon a big hug. the whole process, I'm sure for everyone, both sides, had to be mentally draining. Because there's just so many gymnastics that you have to go through. It's not just here's the money, this is what we can do. We're gonna do that. I mean, we're talking big amounts of money. So I thought that was super cool. And the receivers, I went into the receiver room and it was a party.
So
Yeah, I'd like
along
to
those
ask you
lines,
a little bit more about Mike's role in all of this. He obviously showed faith in you
Mm-hmm.
before his plane even landed in Miami.
Yeah.
And now you come to this point. He has always said his job is to help the players get paid.
Correct.
And now the biggest contract in franchise history.
Yeah.
What does that say about Mike and his relationship with you?
Well, I think it says a lot. Word gets around quick, and I don't think he knows that I know. But I've been told from several birdies that are, here in the facility that are upstairs as well, that he went to bat for me the day that I went out and practiced 11 on 11, 7 on 7, before we went on that little break, that he went to bat for me with, our owner. And, I won't go into details of things that I heard were said, but just know, like, he is what he says. He says what he told me, and he did what I was thinking he would do for me, and not just for me, but for any other player. So I'm very grateful for that.
When you were growing up, you talked about going from games to throwing camps and everything. Did you in a middle class family? Did you ever have I don't know, for lack of a better word, a real job, or was this your job?
This is my job. This is my only job. I never had a real job. This is my job.
so what did you learn during negotiations about the process of negotiating an NFL contract extension from this process?
It's long, brother. It's like I said, it's not as easy as, oh yeah, here, let's just throw $1 million over here. Like, let's just, give you this number here. Like, there's just so many semantics that and loops that you got to go through, to get something like that done, especially trying to, maneuver other contracts around if you're trying to do that. There's just so many things that you got to go through. But I'm happy that we got this thing done. It's unbelievable.
How tough was it to balance, like, not practicing early in the week and, the
Oh.
still going on?
That's tough. That's tough for me. I don't know how the other quarterbacks, like, around the league do it, but for me, I'm a rep guy. Like, I need to do it in order for me to kind of see what I need to do better, or see what feels right, what doesn't feel right. And then the other thing, the communication in the huddle, right? Those guys are hearing other guys in the huddle. That's not who they're going to be hearing. The cadence is just a little different with the way I say the cadence than the way the other guys say the cadence. So that was a little tough for me to kind of stay out. And so a lot of the decisions to being out there and whatnot, I made those knowing, like, whatever's going on outside, like, dude, this is the reps that I need, and that's why I was out there.
Have you had a chance to talk to Marino about this, and what did he say?
No, I haven't seen Dan in a while, but I mean, Dan would be excited. Every time we see Dan in our quarterback room, he's really excited.
So now that you have the backing of the organization, the backing of the fans, getting this deal done, what's next for you? Like, what's the best part about having all this done and kind of looking forward to the next, hopefully get this organization that playoff win and the bigger picture, winning it all?
That's exactly what it is. That's exactly what we're looking forward to. Now that all of this is done, this is behind us, we know, like, heavy is the crown, so whoever's wearing that, like, right now, I'm the highest paid employee in this office. Like, I mean, I got to get my, whatever together. I got to get that right and get our guys moving in the direction that we need to go, to be able to do those things. So.
We heard you give the "Show Me the Money" to the crowd.
Yeah.
Take us through your evolution of showing your personality more to the fans and to us.
Yeah, that was somebody told me that I wouldn't say it, so that's why I said it. It wasn't like I quoted that from a movie. Yeah, somebody told me you won't say it. I was like, okay, so I said it.
Money, Mike.
Huh?
Who was Mike's?
All right, are we taking any guesses? You said Mike. Nope.
Tyreek.
Okay, Tyreek. No. Anyone else?
I thought you watched Jerry
And? No. Right there, Mike's right. Hey, it was Coach Bev. He was like, "You won't do it." He was like, "You won't do it." I'm like, "Let me try."
You talk about how you're grateful to your organization, to your family. Can you talk about why do you love Miami as a city, and why did you want to stay?
Well, I grew up in a similar state, if you will. Hawaii is also a melting pot of many different cultures, right? You have Asians, you have Polynesians, we have Hispanic, like we have it all down there in Hawaii. And out here, it's very similar, but there's more Hispanic people, right? People that speak Spanish, Cubans, Colombians, and it's also a melting pot in that way. But the weather, does justice. The food does justice. And I just don't think you'd want to be anywhere else. Taxes.
Tua, obviously, having met you when you were 16, watching you through the Elite 11 journey, what would you say to that 16-year-old kid about the journey and what is necessary to be successful as an NFL quarterback?
I think I would tell that 16-year-old Tua to continue to do life the exact way you're doing life. The lessons that I learned from 16 till now, I wouldn't change any of that. I wouldn't deviate from any of the things that I've made mistakes with, and where I found success. So I would tell him just continue to be, do what you're doing. You're gonna find it, and when you find it, you found it.
I think you talked about this a little bit before, but could you just walk us through your journey from the day Mike was hired to now, and how you've transformed as a player and a person?
Dude, we'd be here forever. That's like so long, because then we're gonna talk about the Jet conversation. Then we're gonna talk about the conversation he got here. Then we're gonna talk about the videos that he's shown. I forgot how, like 900 clips. I mean, that in itself is like a book already, like that we're talking about. Then, okay, let me go profess to the world that you're my guy, you're this, you're that. Let me go be bold. Here you go. Then we want to Sorry, I had it in my mind of what I wanted to say with things that are parked out there, but I don't think I should say anything about that. But but yeah, there's just so many things that we've gone through from the journey of 2 years ago, and it's not just football related. It's just life related. A lot of it is much more life related, off the field type of things. The mental aspect of the game, just the mental aspect of life, the mental aspect of family life back home, and just a lot of things like that. And it's really helped me throughout the course of growing up from that, what was that, my third year growing into this offense and growing into the player that I am in this league and the man that I am off the field. There's just so many things to talk about, but in a nutshell, that's sort of what it is. And it's a cool full circle moment, because it's what he said he's wanted to do for not just me, said player, but it's for all the players, that he wants us to make money, and he's going to do everything he can to help us do that.
Last question.
No questions? A joke?
Can you name your kids and their ages?
Ace and Maisie, 2 years old, 7 months. That was the last question?
I did want to know, there's an emphasis put on mobility. You losing weight, trying to work on the mobility. What do you think that will do for your game?
Well, I think that'll do a lot. Being more mobile, being able to run the ball a little more, being able to, try to simulate that I am trying to run the ball and then pull up and, able to catch someone off guard in a way. I just think being more mobile, being lighter on your feet, all of that helps with this game, and everything in this game helps. So that's sort of the thought there.
What's your first big purchase?
My first big purchase. What's the most expensive thing?
A house.
NFL
Partners
franchise.
with Ross.
A jet? No. I don't know. I haven't thought about any of like purchasing anything big. Everyone's talking to me about like collecting watches and whatnot. I'm just not a watch guy. And then clothes. I'm just not a clothes guy too much. I probably wouldn't. Taxes too much over there. That's too much. So I probably wouldn't want residency out there. But to go back and visit my family, I would do that. But to be able to, do the things that we need to survive. I mean, we don't need that much money, but to have that much money to be able to take care of my family and then my kids' kids and their kids' kids, having that is very, very cool, and it's very, very special. And I think anyone here that would be in this position would say the same exact thing and would be extremely grateful.
Congratulations.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Congrats.
Thanks, guys.
Don't forget to subscribe.